I don't ever negotiate anything because I've systematized it in a way where if they ask me like, oh, you charge this for this client, this for that client, I just tell them like, oh, my price just keeps going up. It's not like I really, as I get more jobs, as I upskill, it just goes up. So that creates almost like a scarcity event for them, knowing that like, oh, if I don't lock them in now, it could be, $1,000 an hour later on when he has less time.
Adam, it's nice to have you here, man.
Thank you, Tomas. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Look, I've been sneaking around your profile a little bit, and I was mind blown. Originally, I found you on expert vetted talent community forum. I was like, who is this guy, man? Let me check him out. And like, he must be like really good at this stuff. And then I saw your profile. I was like, oh my god, man, this guy is killing it. I want to be him on the podcast as as the very first guy, because he definitely is doing a lot of things right. And I think currently your hourly rate is $575 an hour, right? That's like that's more than some people make during a month. And
Well,
look,
I think, yeah, sorry to cut you off, but I think that most people I heard like don't make anything on the system,
yeah,
so uh but yeah, it wasn't always that high. And I do think it is actually for some projects it's actually 750 an hour. So yeah, it's some projects I think it's like 575 or 750 depending on whether it's like consulting and
well,
things
that's
like that. But
crazy,
yeah,
man.
it's really crazy. I never would have thought I could have possibly charged that much per hour, like anywhere, let alone Upwork. But yeah, it's been super cool.
Can you walk me through like what happened? What was your journey like from when you came on Upwork? What was it like? How did you started freelancing and why Upwork and how did it all came together?
So I think, the more people I talk to, the more the story is generally the same. I think we were talking before the podcast and it was like the same situation. Like I needed money,
Mm,
and I had some digital marketing skills like you had. I had some graphic design skills. I had the ability to not just like I guess have ideas, but be able to like create a web page at this time when I first started getting on the system. So I had these skills that I knew I could do. I had just basically been laid off from a job from that agency I was telling you
hmm
about, so yeah, I was in fight or flight mode. Like I needed to make ends meet, and it was getting a little drastic. So I had been doing a lot of hiring on Upwork previously,
hmm
um, for this company that I was leaving. And also, I had restaurants and I started an app. And so I was using outsourced help for those situations to help kind of like do like data entry and like kind of like small task things. But when I wanted to get on the system, I'm like, I don't want to do like $5 an hour stuff. Like, I want to see if I can like kind of go maybe mid tier, go high tier. I had seen someone doing the consulting that we had hired for like $100 an hour, which like kind of blew my mind at the time because I was like, holy geez, like this is not just your typical $5 an hour, $10 an hour outsourced person that can't speak any English, because that was the talent bench, I think, back then. So this guy's name is Chris, and he was making a buttload doing he was working more with like, I don't know if you're familiar with Infusionsoft and doing CRM stuff, like
hmm
automation stuff. And that had just been like kind of mind blowing because it's like, okay, here's all the people that can do like web pages and things like that. And then here's these like marketing people that can justify pretty crazy hourly rates because they're like helping the business make more money. And so I think I kind of started to put two and two together where I could like start to not only do those like skills that could get my foot in the door, like help them with a web page, help them with graphic design, but then like, okay, I can help you generate business and money. And so that's how I got started. And then I was just like, how do I gamify this thing to make it fun? Like how do I make working a game? So after every completed gig, I got a good review. I'd say like, hey, good job, Adam. I'm your boss and I'm going to give you a raise. So I would just like basically like either double my rate at first or just like add like a like a cool attaboy, which is just like, an incentive, like just incentivize really going out of my way to get the review, get the job done, put extra effort, learn a little, take my own time to like upskill, as I call it, and like, kind of stretch yourself out, because that will ultimately like help you increase your hourly rate.
Hmm.
So that's the way I just like kind of thought about everything. And it wasn't too far into it where I knew that like, okay, this is really crazy. Like I could keep doing this and keep being, quote, more valuable on this system. So I just had a plan like pretty early on. And yeah, I mean, as you know, there's just like so many clients out there, so much work, and you can really kind of, um, you know, kind of
Yeah,
get to the
that's
next
interesting,
level.
man. I like what you're saying, that kind of like you try to gamify it. And from what I understand, you didn't really have this perception of like, hey, if I'm gonna raise my rates, people are not gonna hire me, because I'm hearing this a lot. This is like the one of the main concerns, right? Like if I'm gonna raise my rates on Upwork, no one is gonna hire me, right? Does anything like that cross your mind at all?
No, I think it's a lot of people race to the bottom. They want to compete on price, and there's no reason to. I think maybe early on, your first couple gigs when you don't have any reviews, and perhaps you want to win the job, and maybe you can compete on price a little bit and just be like, hey, here's the deal. I don't have any reviews, but I'm willing to hook you up because I'm trying to take up work and freelancing seriously. Normally I do this, I've done X, Y, and Z, but I know I can help you out. This won't take that much of my time and I'd love to help. And so if you kind of reframe it that way, yeah, maybe there's a time when you could do something like that and maybe get a little lower and compete on price. But once you start getting the reviews, um, and you want to keep scaling this up, like I don't ever negotiate anything because I've systematized it in a way where if they ask me like, oh, you've charged this for this client, this for that client, I just tell them like, oh, my price just keeps going up. It's not like I really, as I get more jobs, as I upskill, it just goes up. So that creates almost like a scarcity event for them, knowing that like, oh, if I don't lock him in now, it could be, $1,000 an hour later on when he has less time.
Right, right. It's almost you're saving
So
time because you're hiring me now, right? You're saving money because
yeah,
you're
and then
hiring me.
I again, it's kind of like plateaued at this point, and now I more or less just kind of focus on the agency side of things. But
Mhm.
coming up these last few years when it was like your 150 rates, 197 rates in that ballpark, yeah, that really did work because they saw that like it was going from 147 to 175 to 197. So that's the only way the negotiations were going, like lock me in. And I would keep my clients at that rate regardless if I closed the contract out. I would just lock them into like 175 if they had a 175 the previous. I've never been like someone that like just increases the price on a client that kind of like helped you upskill in a way, because I'm looking at my clients as almost like investments, just like they're looking at me as investments. They're paying me for my time and for me to work through problems, and I'm paying, and I'm taking these jobs on knowing that like I'm going to be able to figure out how to make them completely satisfied. So
Mhm.
it's really symbiotic in that regard.
This podcast, whether I mention it or not, is brought to you by Proposally. It's brought to you because first, I created Proposally for freelancers just like you who struggle sending winning proposals on Upwork, and really for everyone else who just wants to send Upwork proposals faster. I collaborated with top-selling expert Upworkers to create a growing library of effective and proven Upwork templates. You can use these templates when you apply for jobs on Upwork. Now you can send proposals your clients will love reading and significantly increase your chances of getting hired. And even better, you can do this in a fraction of time. No more digging into your notepad or searching your computer for your best performing cover letter templates. Proposally is built into Upwork's proposal flow. It fills in the blank cover letter section and also screening questions if there are any during your application process. So it's really super easy and intuitive to use. Second, well, I use this tool every day for my own freelance business and it saves me nearly 6 hours per week. I can use this newfound time to improve my business in other ways or make additional income if I want to. That's what I call effective proposals. Quick warning guys, never ever send cookie cutter proposals on Upwork. When you use our expert templates, always add a level of personalization and fill in all the blanks. You definitely don't want to be a freelancer who sends out canned proposal templates and comes across as someone who didn't read the job description and ultimately annoys your clients. Now, if this sounds like a tool you want to use, go to propose.ly/Tom and get 10% off your yearly subscription today.
So, for example, whenever you're charging, let's say 100 an hour and
Yeah.
and then 300 an hour, how did the value that you are providing to your clients change? Was it like, did you provide 3 times more value, or is just you kind of just positioned your services more valuably?
Well, I think at this time when I was increasing it from 100 to 300, I would say I was becoming more efficient just because I think at that time, we were really getting our processes dialed in. Like, I would say like in the technology and software platforms that we're using, we're just allowing us to build quicker versus in the past where I think it would take us more time. So at the end of the day, some of these net projects would kind of come out in a similar range. I would just spend less time. I would say too, wisdom is a big piece of a lot of the things that we're building, because knowing what not to do can save like a whole crap load of time. Like, like it can almost cut down a project by 60%. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've just built it before and you know what software platforms work well with others and what things going to fail, and that type of thing. So I think in the essence of like just wisdom and confidence in knowing what to do and knowing what converts. Again, a lot of the stuff that we're building is based on the essence of like return on investment. So it's like if I'm going to spend $10,000 building a funnel, I know that it's going to, bring in a 6-figure launch or something like that. So they're able to justify the bigger expenses. And yeah, at the time when I'm increasing them, my confidence level is going up. I know that we're going to be able to do a bigger launch. And so, yeah, it typically does justify that spend. But on the other side, time on my side is a scarce resource, and it's just like any other economics where I have less of it. I have to like kind of shift the demand too, because I don't want to just do jobs, for like, if I could do a third of the work, in a third of the time, like I'd rather do less jobs, right? So I'm trying to also push the demand away from me. Like I don't need more work right now. Maybe I could lower the hourly just to filter more people into the agency, I'd say. But I mean, how many clients can you really work with? Too? Right now we have like so many open projects. It can be crazy some weeks because everybody thinks about what they want to do over the weekend, and they hits you up on Monday. It's like, oh, Adam, I want to build this and that and everything like that. So we can have these crazy weeks where everybody just wants to build something and get something going.
What about demand? Do you found that there is like a demand at a certain hourly rate? Maybe there's a bigger demand or less demand. I would be interested to kind of get your experience on that.
Um, you know, I think it's more of like a macro situation. I don't know. It seems to come in waves. Like it's more so when Upwork wants to push me um, up in the search or something like that, I find, because I've certainly got more invites having 750 sometimes or 575 per hour than when I did have $97 an hour.
Hmm.
Like there's been some weeks in the past year when I've had this rate, I've had like 10 times the amount of invites as I did 3 years ago. Now, there's probably a lot more people in the system. Again, they could be doing things that push more traffic to me. So those are crazy forces. I mean, there's so much traffic on Upwork. So like them doing anything on their system, they can push 1 million people to me,
Mm.
So I think it has more to do with like whether they want me to get the work or other people. Because there's like literally there's some days where I'll just get 10 invites real quickly. It's just like, well, where are these people been? you
Yeah.
know. Uh,
Are
but
they
I do.
are they all high quality invites or just like random ones?
There was a period, I don't know if you were getting these, like maybe like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, there were very low quality invites coming through. I don't know what was going on. A lot of like WhatsApp stuff and stuff that
Mm.
was obviously not good, but that seems to have died down. There's been talk that's saying that there could have been like, hackers from Russia region or something like that, like kind of interfering with the API.
Hmm.
I don't know, but um, a lot of it's a mixed bag. Obviously, I get people that I could just tell it's not someone I would want to work with, and then a lot of times I could tell someone is reaching out to talk to me. They've seen my stuff and they're ready to go. I provide a lot of information on my profile, so if someone's willing to like take the time, see what I do, a lot of times that warms them up to the point where I could get on the phone and just like say what's up, and they know what they want from me already, and those are the best clients, like where I
Yeah,
don't have to like get on and like you know freaking audition, like so.
absolutely.
um
How was your I'm interested to know a little bit more about like how do you get clients specifically on Upwork? So part of it comes as an invite, but was it always that way or like did you have a system on how you send proposals or was it organic search and just clients finding you or you went after clients?
at first I was hustling hard, and I still if there are those trough periods where I'm not getting invites, I have some VAs going out and bidding on behalf of the agency.
Hmm.
We have these like Trello boards set up so as the jobs are coming in, we can bid on really quickly. But in the beginning, I was definitely sending a lot of proposals, um, not ever copy and pasting, not really ever being like, oh, this is the one way to do it. Because anybody that's gonna like tell you like, oh, this is the one key way, this is what you want to type and do. It's like, don't listen to them. Just see what people want. Like they're ready, they need help right now. Like the people posting on Upwork, which is so special and why it's so much different than any, Indeed or like these job boards, like things like that. It's because they need work done right now. They don't need a job filled. They need work done. And if you can speak to that and let them know, like, okay, I understand you need this. I've done that. Here's some proof. Let me show you. If you can do that, you're pretty good. So, but to answer your question, no, I was bidding. I don't know how many invites I was getting very early on, but it took a while for that, I'd say, to work its way into like a rotation of reliancy. But I was aggressively going after stuff. And I would say anyone out there starting out and trying to get work, don't wait for it. That's another reason why Upwork is so special. It's because you can take the bull by the horns
Mm.
and bid and go crazy. And yeah, if you got to spend a little money, cash, I mean, how much fucking money would it take to like get in your car and go on an interview? You know what I mean? It would be like $30 in gas at this point, So like, think about the amount of money a connect costs. This is going to a person who's ready to hire you for work. So be honest about your skills and what you can do, but if it's right, man, like a 50 cents, a dollar, just to
I know,
real
man.
like kind of filter like, and you should like the fact that there's a little bit of cost, because then you get away the people that are just flippantly throwing out noisy bids and everything like that. And there's a high probability that the person's seeing your bid. It's not to say that like you shouldn't concentrate on the proposal and try to do a good job. And I go over this a lot with like a lot of my students of like how to send good proposals and like
You got
what
any
you
tips on
do.
that?
Yeah, I got tons of tips on that, man. If you check out my site, I think it's Freelance King. I have some, what is it? I know I hate templates, but there's like a checklist thing. I'll send it over to you, but there's a couple tools there that I
Yeah.
can go through. But I think the best thing to do if you really want to connect with someone and you're confident in your skills, and if you're just starting out, send like a loom over it first and show them that like, you've read through their work and stuff like that and like what they need, and show that like you're an actual human person. Because if you can do that and show that you can communicate with them, because there's a lot of fear that people that are posting the jobs on the client side. It's like, okay, I don't know if this person really is a person or understands what I need or these types of things. So if you can get on a loom, I always, this is like the pinnacle of job applications. It's like, you can introduce yourself and show that you're a real person. And I think that people are really going to appreciate those efforts and always try you out. And those small jobs, those $30 to $50 jobs could turn into $10,000 jobs very, very quickly. I've done it as a person hiring, and that's how I landed my first job. It was like a $40 gig, and it turned into something very big.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My one of my first clients on Upwork accidentally sent a message on the public as a public job post. I was like, dude, you were meant to like send someone else this message, but like this went to public job post. It's like, look, I can do this work if you want to. It's like, okay, and then
Oh
it,
yeah, so like he accidentally like invited you, but it was like a message to someone kind of thing.
yeah, he thought he's sending a message to completely different person. I was like, man, your message went to
Yeah,
the public job board. I was like, but I can do the work. And it turned into like $125,000 gig over a few years time, right? So it's amazing what can
and
happen.
that's the thing. Like, yeah, that's it. That's these people are ready to roll, and they really just care about, can this person do what I need?
Mm,
And so, yeah, trying to get the perspective of their side of it is so crucial, because yeah, like this guy, he was messaging someone else, got knew that you could do it. And you're just like, all right, let's go, let's try you out. Like there's no big harm in that. How
for
did you
sure.
set up? Was that an hourly gig?
It was an hourly gig, yeah. So I started like I think my rate was 35 at the time. He was like, I'm looking for someone with 25. I was like, all right, let's go. I kind of like I needed a job, right? And I needed projects at that time. And then it just grew, 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 grew. And at some point, they were paying me like 8 grand for 20-hour week, and it's just like kept on raising rates with them, and they grew together with me. And it was just like short 2 years, right?
Yeah. So you were keeping the same contract open and then increasing your rate within the contract?
As well as we end up doing some direct work as well with them.
Okay.
But
Very
yeah,
interesting.
I also raised my rates, and they were like fine with it, right? Because they saw that I'm adding more value to it. I was able
Hmm.
to getting more things done faster, more complicated things and things like that. And they were happy to pay
Exactly.
me.
Yeah, that efficiency play that's what I was talking about before, especially if you become more familiar with a complicated system than say someone else, because bringing someone in to the fold can be a nightmare,
Mm.
and then they can mess things up. And no, that's great. Yeah, and I hear stories like that all the time. Like they get that first meal and they're like, whoa,
Mm.
okay. Like that, I was addicted right from the start. Like as soon as I got that like $40 gig, and then he was like, well, what's your hourly? I'm like, well, 45. And then, they hired me on hourly, and then I'm like, wow, I can just use this time tracker, and every time I work, like, it calculates it for me. I don't have to do any of my own billing. I don't have to ask for money. I don't have to do anything. Like, just work. Just open your laptop and work. And that
Yeah.
was like mind blowing, man. Because I don't know about you, like, I did do like kind of freelance work in the past, but on your own, like sending out invoices. Like, I was doing like, restaurant digital menus like when I was a kid, and like they always owed you money, and you had to like
Mm.
go there and be like, hey, it's just always hat in hand kind of stuff. Not something you really want to base your career off of, you know?
Yeah, chasing payments,
eh,
right?
chasing payments.
Yeah.
But man, like, Upwork is the difference. Like, I don't know about you, but like, they've covered my ass a few times. Like, if there's been like delinquencies and payments, and um, it's really been phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can definitely, there's a huge thanks goes out from me to Upwork team and everyone. It's just my entire career is really built on Upwork. If it wasn't for Upwork, I wouldn't have the lifestyle I'm having now. Everything that I have is designed with a purpose, but it was possible just because there was Upwork, and all these clients and the system. Beautiful. So
Yeah,
do you think there is a I just want to circle back to the value you're adding to your clients, and to all the people listening. They may be thinking, like, but how do I, like, in my industry, how do I add more value to people? Do you think there is like a like generic recipe or anything that people could take and think about how they can add more value within their niche?
yeah. Again, you just have to look at it from the client's perspective, and what's their time worth to them. So a lot of people, as clients, they could probably do what I'm doing. They could take the time to learn it, they could take the time to build it, they could take the time to do it, but how much of what you can contribute can offset that for them? And then I think it becomes more about a time arbitrage. And so if you can find people that are, if they're kind of valuing their own selves at like 50 or $100 an hour, then you can make a play for that. But I do think it's not going to come without taking it upon yourself to be the type of person that's going to like learn things, right? Like a lot of what I do is digital marketing, and we work a lot with like copywriting and storytelling and automation product. So this is all stuff that you could go on YouTube and learn about.
Mm.
If you can learn about, well, you could definitely learn more than what I know about it. Like, there's new technologies coming out. There's new angles. There's new ways of doing things constantly. It's always changing. So anyone that's going to kind of get on that wave and show how it can be of value to these clients. All of these people have online businesses. All of these people are trying to sell services or products, and that's not going away with the pandemic leaving. Like, this is just really getting started. Like, people just started making these changes and becoming more comfortable with them, and that's just going to start to accelerate more. So yeah, there's nothing that I do that couldn't be learned
Mm.
on YouTube. There's not like one thing I do or know in terms of what I charge people for. So I think, yeah, it's just about getting to a baseline skill set. I often say, like, be a VA or someone that can like just apply their G Suite skills, or emailing skills or organizational skills, like learn different platforms like Trello, or things that are, again, going to help people save time. I think we entered into our conversation about like me trying to get organized and stuff like that. Like, I regularly hire VAs to like help me with that stuff. So it's like, at any level. And, my VAs also start to learn like the CRM platforms, and, I pay them for that because they're
Mm.
just like contributing skills along the way. So this whole like circle of skill building is happening all around us in these ecosystems. So I really think it's just about like getting in there, being honest with what you know, and then creating that baseline, and then upskilling from there. And then, like we said, like the gamification of your value is going to start to take root, and you can make it fun for yourself.
Yeah, like, if you're willing to learn something, right? Not just do the work, but if you're willing to experiment and try new things along the way, or as you said, your VAs, you're kind of paying them to do the work you kind of doing. They're getting paid, they're learning, and in no time they could start doing something similar or their own, right? And this is like what happens in every industry. If you step out of that mindset that you have to do one specific task and go out of your way a little bit to learn something else, maybe add a little bit value from here, from there, suddenly there's all, few months later, you already have new skills that you can pick up and charge more for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I used to I saw this so much in the past where it's like I'm a designer. I'm so like I'm not going to be anything but a designer. But it's like if you learned a little bit of marketing, maybe you could learn like copy on top of your design, and things like that. And now it's more like you have more marketable skill set and you can charge more versus a designer is just going to go heads up with the designer. So they're just basing it on your logo versus his logo and then cost versus cost. You have to be embedded in a lot. You have to have some type of knowledge in many things. And I know that a lot of people are just like niche and just do your one specialty thing. And I do think that there's an avenue for people that can scale up their one offering and make a business around that. But I don't think that's the most for most people. I don't think they want to become a warehouse. I think that creates burnout. But I'm sure there's some people that can systematize that, get a team around making that a system and scale that and put their offerings on product catalog or whatever and just put that on repeat. And I respect that. But that's almost like running like an e-com store. So I think that's going to have challenges that people don't see because look, when you're a graphic designer on Upwork and you're going to be hands-on with a person, it's not possible to make it into a chop shop. It's everybody's unique. You're going to need hands-on stuff. So I think it's the more you niche, I think the more you're kind of cutting yourself off from becoming this new age Upworker that isn't just you're this or you're that. You're almost in everything. And if maybe your skill set doesn't get to a level, well, I know a guy over here in my network, I know Tomas that's kick ass here. And that's that spirit of abundance where it's like, okay, it's beyond me. I like for me, it would be like database work or like something like C-level, like where, look, I'm just not a coder. I'm not going to know any of this stuff. Like here, I know a guy. And so I think that's the real spirit of this is to kind of get into a space and then expand as far as you can into it and own that corner of it and then create a network. And because there's ways to keep yourself kind of in that project by networking with other people. And, that works really well with the agency I have now. It's like, now I have like 4 or 5 people connected with the project versus just me connected with the project. So it's 6 times as awesome, versus before when everybody's.
I think we have maybe like 5 more minutes left of your time. So.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. Sorry.
I don't wanna keep you for too long, man. I know how valuable your time is, but look, if you kind of like your profile disappeared and you lost all your reviews and all your track record on Upwork, what would you do different, or how would you start?
How would I start on Upwork again?
Yeah, like your profile disappeared. That's it, ground zero.
Oh, well, if my profile disappeared now, I would tell my team let's make these thumbnails. I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna do that, and just rebuild it because unless you really fuck up and get kicked off, like an attractive profile is going to be an attractive profile. Just like have all the things that you do and display it nicely and make sure that you're coming off as likable. And yeah, I don't think like let's I guess maybe your question would be like if all my reviews were stripped off and
Yeah,
like I had to kind of claw my way back to the top.
yeah,
um but so if I was gonna kind of do that, I would probably go in at like the $47 mark, just not come off like overly ambitious, but I like that mark just because I know that that's what worked for me in the past. And I think that it's kind of disarming at that level. Like you're willing to try someone at that level. Um, I would certainly make the video because when you don't have a lot of reviews, that's the one thing that can carry some weight. Because again, it's an authority thing that you're lacking. You don't have any social proof yet, and that type of thing. So you want to reach to areas that you've maybe worked in other, off platform stuff like that. You definitely want to add stuff into your portfolio. I recommend maybe hiring a graphic designer if you lack those skills, or they can get onto Canva really easy. Pay a guy on Fiverr or use the product catalog internally and get that stuff going. And then, so I would say make it as attractive as possible. Because the best form of bidding, best proposals, I often say the number one rule to a basic proposal is having a good profile, right? Because ultimately all the traffic's going to go back to the profile. So that's got to do your selling. That should have everything. Take advantage of every single thumbnail they allow, every single partition in there. Like I said, the video, and yeah, from there, I would just bid like freaking crazy. I got my job on a weekend. Like these are constantly being posted. So it's not about doing it at 9 a.m. and being like, whoa, I did my piece. Hopefully I get something. No, it would be like, come back at 12 a.m., or 12, come back at 2, come back at 4. This stuff's happening all day long. So if you're not getting a response, it's 100%, it's your fault. You're just not getting in front or saying the right thing. So it's really trial and error. And really turning it into a numbers game. And again, making sure when you're doing that stuff that the profile is dialed in, but also when you're sending the bids and spending the connects, that you're letting them know that you understand what they need and you can definitely 100% take care of it. Just get on the phone and we'll talk about it, and you'll see when you talk to me that I'm a good guy and I'll do this. So it's from there, from the sending that bid, it's try to get them onto a phone call and kind of close it out. But that would be like my strategy early on, and then just rinse and repeat, make it fun. And yeah, I think that there's so much work out there again that I don't think it would be that difficult to get right back to where I am. I mean, there's so many people in the system now that are just crushing it, a lot more than 5-10 years ago. That's for sure.
yeah.
And they're making great content now, and yeah, it's cool to see, because that's been my I've been trying to preach that for so long. I don't know if I told you, I just wrote the book that came out. So yeah, I've been just trying to
What is that book?
it's called Upwork Saved My Life.
Oh wow. Where do people can find it?
UpworkSavedMyLife.com.
Okay.
There's a digital version available for free. So UpworkSavedMyLife.com/book, and you can just download it for free and just let me know what you think.
Nice.
So, yeah, but that's I think 160 pages of basically everything I know about getting up and started on Upwork, my story, just the shit I went through to kind of get started, and why we got started and everything like that. So
That's
yeah.
amazing, man. Thanks for sharing that. Is there anything else where people interested in more about your work or anything like that?
No, I think honestly, if anybody's really interested in getting on Upwork and freelancing and stuff like that, just honestly check that book out. That's gonna have the most ton of value. I would just focus attention towards there. And then maybe if you're a business looking to automate marketing and stuff like that, automatescale.com is our agency. So, but yeah, hopefully a lot of listeners, they want to emulate what you and me are doing. So that I think the book would be really helpful for them.
That's amazing, man. I enjoyed every single second of this conversation, man. But I do feel that there is so
Well, yeah, man,
much.
we can do it again. Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully your
absolutely. Would
listeners
love
like
to.
it. Happy to jump on. I'm glad you reached out. So I'm happy to talk to other Upworkers all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
likewise, man. It's been a very, very nice conversation.
It's sometimes a lonely road, bro, So
It is
you gotta
indeed. Yeah. Yeah, we all should come together more often and share things and try to build that strong community. Awesome
well
stuff.
and I like what they're doing with the groups and stuff like that. So it's cool.
Yeah,
So,
especially expert wedded talent group is really picking up, man. There's so much value
yeah.
and people are really taking it seriously because I remember like previously like the entire community was kind of like meh, but
I agree. Yeah, it wasn't I wasn't kind of getting in the mix. There was a
mm,
lot of ego,
mm,
and I find the expert vetted ones are more comfortable with their situation and not
yeah.
trying to prove something to the world, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I think there's 500 expert vetted talent.
I know it's
Yeah.
it's a pretty decent sized group. I was happy to see that. So yeah, hopefully we share more stuff and do more of these. It looks like they're trying to do more Zooms and everything like that. So it's great
I
to
think
see.
so. I think so. Upwork is definitely going into right direction. With the quality of everything is just picking up. Whatever is they're doing, I feel they're doing right. It's definitely the trajectory is good
A lot of good changes in the last several years, man.
for
I
sure.
mean, no one talks about this, but I remember getting on the system and it was so fucking slow. Like,
Mhm.
if you searched or like looked for a job, like you would wait like 10 minutes for like jobs to show up. Like, I
I
think they were
remember
running,
that.
it was like the crazy database. And like, I give the team over there, I hear nightmares about the system, but like, you got to give them credit though. Like, this must be a crazy system. And to make changes at scale,
Mm,
I can't imagine, all the intricacies and the payments and back and forth and the escrow situation, timer situation. And so it's just,
for
it's
sure, man.
just kind of, I'm happy every morning it's still running and and not down or something like that because I can imagine how complex it all is. So
Yeah, yeah, and so many people are relying, right? If you think about it, like nothing terribly bad has happened over these years, right? Like just minor hiccups here and there, right? But like Upwork is still there and it's going strong, man, and very, very grateful for that.
oh yeah,
All right, brother. This was amazing. I appreciate your time, sharing your knowledge and lessons learned. Um, and I hope
absolutely.
I hope we
Thanks
can
for having me.
do these
Yeah,
sometimes in the future. All right, man. You take
for
care.
sure. All right, thanks, Ben.
Bye.